Well, we begin with President Biden commemorating the 50 millionth COVID-19 vaccine shot administered since Inauguration Day. We're going to bring you that event live when it happens. In the meantime, White House correspondent Karen Travers joins us now for the latest in Washington. Karen, Biden initially set a goal to get 100 million vaccines administered in his first 100 days in office. So how's that going so far?
Yeah, Diane, they're patting themselves on the back today, saying that they are halfway to that goal of getting 100 million shots into Americans' arms by the first 100 days. 50 million shots, that's what the president is going to tout today. And the administration says that every week for the last 5 weeks, they have increased the supply that the federal government is giving out to states. This most recent week, 14.5 million vaccine shots went out to states, tribes, and local communities. The administration says the goal is to keep increasing that each week. So it's more than doubled, they say, from when President Biden took office just 5 weeks ago.
And Karen, of course, the state of Texas is still recovering from that catastrophic power failure and the deep cold and snow. Last week, President Biden issuing a major disaster declaration for certain parts of Oklahoma. Sometimes we don't realize that was a regional disaster after last week's storm. So how is that declaration going to help? And what are we expecting from the president's visit to Texas tomorrow?
Yeah, more federal money now can get to Oklahoma to get to people who need it and the ongoing recovery efforts there. And I think you're right. There was so much attention focused on Texas last week. It's easy to forget that this was a regional event that was happening. And there were people in several states that were dealing with severe weather. But those power outages and water issues were, of course, very, very heavy and concentrated in Texas. The governor of Oklahoma asked for that emergency disaster declaration. The White House then this morning responded with that. But Texas will be on the president's mind tomorrow when he heads down there to meet with state and local officials to get a firsthand look at the recovery efforts, to hear what they need and how they're doing down there. The White House says this is not a trip that's meant to place blame on anybody. This isn't about politics, but about getting people who still need help the help that they're looking for. Terry, this is the first trip like this that President Biden will do, the first trip after a natural disaster of sorts where he'll go down, and I think we'll expect him to play that traditional comforter-in-chief role that presidents play when they get on the ground after an event like this, talking to people who were impacted and probably giving out a lot of hugs from a distance, maybe some fist bumps or elbow bumps.
And Karen, the House is set to vote on Biden's pandemic relief plan tomorrow, setting up a critical vote in the Senate. How likely is it to pass, and will any Republicans support it?
Yeah, that's the big question. House Republican leaders say they are trying to keep their caucus together in opposition to this bill. And they're trying to message this and talk about the extreme spending and the things that are in there that are not related to COVID-19. The price tag is very high, $1.9 trillion. But as the president said last week, to my critics, what would you cut? What would you get out of there? So we'll see that first vote likely tomorrow in the House. The question is, any Republicans joining Democrats? Diane, this bill is popular, or at least the concept of the bill. Polls are consistently showing about 2/3 of Americans say they back the president's push for a lot of COVID relief right now. And the White House is banking on the fact that this is going to backfire on Republicans. If none of them join in with House Democrats to vote for this, they say that this is an easy messaging for them to say, you didn't help Americans when they needed it most.
And Karen, one of the key issues in the plan is that $15 national minimum wage. The fight for 15 going on for years. It now looks like the finish line's in sight. But now we're hearing that provision could be dropped altogether from this?
Yeah, sort of close to the finish line, but not yet there. So it's in the House bill that had already gone through the committees. But the question then is what happens when it heads over to the Senate? Because remember, we talked about that wonky process called reconciliation, where they lowered the magic number to get a bill like this passed. They don't need the 60 votes normally needed. They only need a simple majority, so they can do it without Republicans. But there's a wonky parliamentary question about whether or not you can pass the minimum wage increase through reconciliation. So the most popular person today in Washington is the Senate parliamentarian who's going to issue a ruling on this. Then the question would be, do they try and go around that? Does the White House try and overrule that and keep it in? Or because they're concerned about losing some votes, like Democrats Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Kirsten Sinema of Arizona, who said they cannot support this increase, maybe they're relieved to get it out of there in the Senate version, and then we'll have to say, well, we got to work together now with the House to move forward on something we can all get behind.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.